Welcome back to No Shame with Shane. I'm your host, Shane Fordham, with all the shameless sports takes. But today is no ordinary episode. I have a very special guest that'll be joining me. I mean, we think about Hampton Roads. We know Hampton Roads is the home of many sports legends like Allen Iverson, Michael Vick, Alonzo Mourning, Tyrod Taylor, just to name a few. And I have the honor to be interviewing one of these legends today. So without further ado, I'm super excited to introduce. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was a Naismith College Player of the Year, ACC, all first team, ACC, all first team, All American, AP College Player of the Year, first overall pick in the 1995 NBA Draft, 16-year vet, Mr. Joe Smith. Mr. Smith, how you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good. How you doing today, bro?
Oh, I'm doing great. I mean, this is a privilege to be able to pick your brain, ask you a few questions on this platform. Super excited to get into it. So, just getting straight into it, I wanna start from the beginning, or start earlier on in your career. You know, being a Maury High School legend. For those who don't know, Maury High School is located in Norfolk, Virginia. As you are a native of Norfolk, Virginia, what was it like being a premier athlete at that age, at that time, from this area?
I mean, it was special. It was special. I mean, not just being at Maury and being a local talent with the talent that I had, but I mean, the basketball at that time, the high school basketball at that time was crazy. Like the Eastern District was one of the best districts in the state as far as basketball talent. So every night, whether we're playing Booker T, Norview, Lake Taylor, or Granby, every night we had to come out and with our best, with our A game. That's how thick the Eastern District was. So it was a special time for us in basketball. Every game was sold out. Every gym we went to was sold out. Standing room only half the time. So, I mean, I had a real good feel before I even got to Maryland as far as playing in front of big crowds and playing in front of a lot of people, because the Eastern District and representing Maury, really prepared me for that moment.
So getting into, you talked about the competition you played against back then. Every game was sold out. I mean, what exactly was the competition like at that time? I mean, like who were some of the people that you remember playing against at that age, and how did that prepare you for your next step, to be the face of Maryland basketball moving forward for the next couple of years?
I mean, you had at Booker T, you had at the time Mike Evans, before Kenny Brown and rest in peace, KB. Kenny Brown and Chris Elliott came along. There was a top tandem backcourt that was pretty much unstoppable at the time. At Grammy, you had Ed Geth, Warren Pitts, 2 6'10", 6'11" guys inside that, I had to contend with. Norview had Willie Young and another couple players that was top notch in this area. And Lake Taylor was always tough. So we had some Division I top type talent in this area at that time, and a lot of guys did go D1. But it was like I said, every night you had to bring your A game because you can get beat any given night.
So being someone who clearly thrived in the competition, whether it was adversity, being an underdog, or being the favorite, is there someone in your early life who you attribute your success to? I mean, who would you credit as being someone who really poured into you at a young age, as you were beginning your career as an athlete?
I mean, nobody but my mom. I mean, my brothers and sisters were there, but my mom really, was that support system and really, gave me the confidence to be able to go out there and do what I do and do what I did. She put me in position to get the training and get the workouts that I needed. She put me in positions to make the AAU travel whenever necessary. Sometimes she didn't have the funds to be able to do it, but she would come up with a way. Tennis shoes, I'm telling you, every year I aged was my shoe size. So starting about 10 years old, I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and my shoe size was right along with it all the way to 17. So finding clothes and finding shoes, man, was something I know she definitely had issues with. So I mean, my mom, man, she was that strength in my backbone, man, that really pushed me to become what I became.
Wow, that's amazing. And I know you definitely made her proud, with everything that you accomplished, throughout your career, throughout your life, so, and speaking of those accomplishments, kind of fast forwarding to your sophomore year at Maryland. I mean, you had led Maryland to one of their best seasons ever. I mean, even to now at this point in time, with 28, finishing the season 28-6, finishing top 3 in the ACC, top 10 nationally ranked. I mean, you averaged over 20 points a game, 11 rebounds a game, but your iconic game against Duke. I mean, you were on another level. I mean, 40 points, 18 rebounds. I mean, being just 2 points away from breaking Len Bias's record for most points scored in a game at
Really?
Maryland.
I didn't know that.
Two points away from one more layup, you break the record. But even, 40 points and 18 rebounds. I mean, that's dominant. I mean, you were dominant all year, but this game was on another level. I mean, you're at Duke, a Duke team being led by the infamous Coach K. I mean, did something feel different, leading up to that game? I mean, what was going through your mind leading up to that game?
At that point, it was pretty late in the season, and we were still kind of jockeying for position in the ACC. And Duke was just one of those opponents in our way. We had to go down to Cameron. And the thing about it, we didn't have our head coach at the time. He was sick in the hospital. Gary Williams was sick in the hospital with pneumonia. So we were coached by our assistant coach. And before the game, I see him pacing through the locker room. His nerves are killing him. So, I kind of go up to him and, trying to, give him a few kind words to kind of relax him a little bit. And, he just told me, "Come on, big fella, I need you, big fella. I need you today, big fella." So I said, I got you, coach. We gonna walk out of here with a win. It was a good game, back and forth the entire game, man. And fortunately, when our point guard, Dwayne Simpkins, took that shot, I was always a great offensive rebounder. So, I knew where to be on the floor, where to position myself and how to position myself. So I just got myself in position. So whenever it came off the rim, I was able to tip it in. But that's probably one of the best moments of my college career. Probably the reason why I was, I won the Naismith and the College Player of the Year. That game right there was probably one of the biggest reasons that year.
I really want to get into that final play too, because like you said, it was a close game for pretty much the whole night. I mean, there were 13 different tiebreakers that night, just being neck and neck, back and forth all game. So kind of walk me through that final play. I mean, your teammate, Dwayne Simpkins, is bringing the ball down. Right. I know you're posted up on the block. What's going through your mind at this point? I mean, time is ticking. I mean, what are you thinking at this moment in the game?
At that moment, I watched it all the time, but I'm fighting for position, trying to get the ball. I mean, the objective was to bring the ball down and give it to me inside. But Duke did a good job of, they had one big in front of me. I think it was Cherokee Parks. He fronted me, and then they had their opposite 7-foot big right behind. So it was tough to get the ball inside. But it allowed that lane for Dwayne Simpkins to get as close as he did for that shot attempt. So, I think he did a good job of taking what the defense gave him and not trying to force anything. But the main thing, I was trying to get the ball. I wanted the ball. I wanted to take that last shot anyways. And it ended up working out where I did get the last shot. But, it opened up. And Dwayne, he was a smart point guard. He did a good job of eating up that space and taking the shot. He missed it, and I was in the right spot at the right time.
So that was my next question, because I was wondering, was Dwayne Simpkins supposed to take that shot? Because I know you said your coach was out. So I feel like if your head coach is out, I'm thinking whoever is filling in is like, all right, just give the ball to Joe at this point. He's got 40, he's got 38 points already. Like, was that the original plan? I mean, were you kind of upset at first that he took that shot? You know, what was going on with that?
No, that was definitely the original plan. I was coming down, we was going to run a flex cut where I get a cross screen from the opposite block and I flash to the same side where Dwayne is bringing the ball up. And when we did that, like I said, Duke did a good job of staying one guy in front of me, one guy behind me. So it was tough to get the ball in. And Dwayne just took it upon himself. I mean, he did it a few times, before, my first couple of my 2 years at Maryland. So, I was confident with him taking the shot, but I think he did a good job of just reading it. But I definitely wanted that ball. I wanted that shot. 38. I was, like I said, like you said, I had 38 points at that time. So coach definitely wanted to get the ball in my hands at that moment. So, but Dwayne did a good job of reading the defense.
I mean, it definitely works. I mean, I think that's one of the most fundamental, because we know college is definitely more of an example of fundamental basketball than the pros. Right. And I think that's got to be one of the most fundamental and successful college plays of all time. I mean, just being in the right place, right position, and then, just allowing to, finish for the win. So, I mean, that was great. Definitely an iconic.
Like, so all y'all rebounders out there that knows how to rebound, it's all about watching the flight of the ball. When the shot goes up, wherever you are, it can go from the wing, from the top of the key, is watching the flight of the ball, and that'll tell you where the ball is going to bounce off. So 9 times out of 10, you can always put yourself in the right spot, in the right place. Dennis Rodman used to do it very well. I learned how to do it, and it's just about watching that flight and being able to react to it.
Wow, that's great. So, do you think that game is what kind of solidified you as the number 1 overall pick? I mean, because you were projected as a top 3 pick throughout the season. Right. But do you think that was the game that kind of sealed the deal, or do you think that, I mean, it was yours to take regardless?
I think that game really, kind of put me over the edge, but I think my sophomore year was just too good to be denied. I mean, just looking back on it, I mean, at the moment, you really don't understand what you're doing, but looking back on it, my sophomore year was probably one of the best for a big and one in Maryland history in a long time since Len Bias. So, I mean, it was the culmination of game after game, being consistent, like you say, averaging 20, almost 12 rebounds. I think maybe 3 or 4 blocks at that time, or somewhere around that area. So, I mean, just being consistent and doing it night in and night out. During that year, we knocked off North Carolina, who was number 1 in the country. They came to Maryland. We beat them. We beat Duke twice at the buzzer, really. The first time was the tip in. The second time they had the ball and they were taking a shot, and I went up and actually blocked it at the buzzer. So Duke didn't like me too much that year, but I mean, I think it was just a culmination of game in and game out, just being consistent.
That's amazing. I mean, kind of now getting to that point in the draft, kind of fast forwarding a little bit, what did it mean for you to hear your name called number 1 first overall in the NBA draft in 1995?
I mean, it was a dream come true. I mean, that's something as a kid, you have a dream of making it to the NBA, not really have a mindset of what numbers or what pick you want to be, just making it to the NBA. But and when I left Maury, I really had no idea. When I left Maury High School, I had no idea that I even still had the talent to make it to the NBA until my sophomore year at Maryland. So, I mean, it was a dream come true, man. Felt like I was always an underdog, somebody that was underrated, and even coming out of high school. So, for me to be the number 1 pick after 2 years at Maryland, I mean, it was something special, man. And the most special moment was actually just seeing my mom's reaction, because that lets me know that that she was proud of me, and that I did something that she that made her brought her joy. I mean, her reaction was, almost was more excited than my reaction. So, I mean, seeing her reaction, man, it just made the moment even more special, and being able to share it with my family. We had a neighbor that went along to the draft with us and sat in the green room. So being able to share those moments in the green room and in the hotel before the draft, after the draft, and being able to celebrate with your family, that's a great feeling.
Definitely, definitely. So what you talked about what it meant for you being drafted number one overall, having your family there, especially your mom, seeing the smile on her face. What do you think it meant for your family and the Hampton Roads community? Your village, your environment surrounding village back home. What do you think it meant for them being drafted number one overall?
I still hear it to this day. That a lot of people tell me now that when I got drafted, it felt like the city made it. And and I mean, and it makes you feel good because that's how I grew up, and that's how I wanted everyone to feel. Like we did it. Because that's the type of support system I had around me, from coaches to different players that I played alongside of, to classmates and friends. Man, that's the type of support system I always had around me. So when I did get drafted, man, I even felt like I even felt like it, like we did it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I treated everyone everyone here back at home, and that's how I wanted them to treat me. I'm still normal. It felt like I was still normal Joe, but I felt like we did it, and this is a special moment that we all should share in.
Well, that's powerful because I know your community ties run strong. You've been a leader in your community for, longer than I've been alive. I was born in 2001, so I wouldn't make you feel old. But you've been just your name, your effect is cemented in your community. As a pillar, as a leader. So I want to kind of ask you about one of your community ties. You recently started a basketball camp for local Hampton Roads athletes, the Joe Smith Basketball Academy.
Right.
I want to know what made you want to take on this project and start this camp. Like, what was your motivation?
The kids. My motivation was the kids. It's something that I kind of started, but it was, we was kind of building it up. But I started a few years ago down in Georgia. And my intent is, I turn on the news all the time and I see, a lot of things going on with our youth, and a lot of negative things going on with our youth. And my thing was to be able to be that person, or be that person or mentor that they can look at, as somebody that's been in the same position that they've been in, has walked these similar streets, has walked these same streets, that understands the ins and outs of the streets, and understands what they need to do and what they need to sacrifice in order to achieve a goal and achieve a dream that they want to achieve. So my thing is to be that voice to them, be that visual for them, and just try to give back to them, because a lot of them, they feel like nobody care about them. And that's what I'm getting from a lot of these kids. And just be that person that, show that they care, show that they're here for them, and show that they want them to be something better than what they might see on a daily basis.
That's honorable, because being an athlete of your caliber, not everyone is willing to give back to the community, right. So it's really inspiring to be able to sit down and, talk to you about athletics alone, but then to be able to go deeper and talk about how you have made the lives of others better, especially, kids my age, around my age, younger, how you have made their lives better and had an effect on them. That's powerful. So, but, kind of transitioning a little back to your rookie year. You were, simply put, you were a dog. All rookie team, I'm sure you had a lot of interesting moments in the league as a whole, but there's always, every rookie always has that one story where, their first welcome to the NBA moment, so I want to know What was your welcome to the NBA moment on the court?
On the court, mine was actually opening night. My first NBA game. We're playing against the Houston Rockets. They just won the championship the year before, so they're getting their banner hung, championship banner hung in the rafters, and they're receiving their rings. And so first of all, I get to witness all of that as a rookie. My first game of my career, I get to witness all of that. But then as the game is about to start, we're about to do the tip off, and I have to jump up against Hakeem Olajuwon for the tip off. So, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm about to out jump him. I'm young, I'm athletic, I'm about to just out jump him. I'm gonna win this tip. I ain't gonna lose this tip. So as the referee tossed the ball up, before we even jump in the air, he shoot me an elbow right in my nose. Right in my, I couldn't jump. He shot me an elbow right in my nose and won the tap and tipped it. So for anybody that's ever got hit in their nose, the next thing that happens is the eyes instantly water. Yeah. So my eyes are watering like the first 7-8 minutes of the game. I'm running up and down. I really can't see. I'm eyes blurry, trying to recover from the elbow to the nose. And he's steady running up and down, looking at me, laughing at me. He's laughing at me because he knows exactly what he did to me. So he's laughing at me like, yo, fella, I got you, yo, fella. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to steal that one, big fella. That's all I told him. I'm gonna have to steal that one because you got me good.
Now, that segues into what I want to talk to you about next. But I want to, did you have a welcome to the NBA moment off the court as well? Because catching a Hakeem Olajuwon elbow is enough. Yeah. But was there a welcome to the NBA moment that you had off the court as well?
Yeah. All right. We had we have obviously rookie hazing, but fortunately I was one that I talked to a lot of rookies at my rookie class, and they had to do so much stuff for the veterans, but I didn't have to do all that. I had to do one thing, and that was come up with a song. I had to come up with a song and sing it in front of everybody, and the coaching staff, the GMs, everybody in the organization. Myself, Andrew the clerk, and we had one more rookie at the time, and all three of us had to come up with a song. And I did a Beverly Hillbilly jingle with my story. Like there once was a story about a kid named Joe. But then I went on into it and just and they had everybody cracking up in the room. Everybody bust out laughing.
No, that's great. No, that's hilarious. So you kind of opened that tunnel. So many memorable moments your rookie year. Right. What are some of your most memorable moments in the NBA as a whole? Like, what are some of your favorite moments in, during your, I know it's a wide span of time, being in the league for 16 years, but are there any favorite moments that come to mind, during your time in the NBA?
The first one is the first time we played against the Bulls, Chicago, Jordan, Pippen, Dennis Rodman. They had that big three together, and we were playing them out in the Bay Area, and that was actually the year they only lost 9 or 10 games. So we had them. They came out to the Bay Area at halftime. We up 20. We like, yes, we got them. We got them. We come back out in the third quarter. They cut the 20-point lead in like 3 minutes. It was the fastest run I ever seen in my life. Like you always hear the stories like third quarter, they're going to turn it up. Third quarter, the Bulls are going to turn it up. That's when they really get it going. That's when they want to come out and put you away. You hear those stories, but I'm like, man, we up 20, man. We got this. I swear, 3-4 minutes, they were up 1. I'm like, God, what happened? But MJ, Scotty, they just got it going, and you could just see the change from first half to second half. Man, it was really amazing to see. And another one is when Magic Johnson came back. Magic had retired for a couple years because of the HIV situation, and I'm still playing with the Warriors at the time. And he decided to come out of retirement, and his first game out of retirement was against us. And if anybody knows me, they know how big of a Magic fan I was growing up, and still is. So to be able to experience that and know that his first game back was against us. I mean, we found out maybe a week in advance, that he was coming back, and they was put the schedule out when he might return. You know how they do on ESPN. So when he might return, his possible dates and all that. And when they finally announced it, it sent chills through my body, because that's somebody I looked up to and somebody I always wanted to play against. And he retired right before I got drafted, so I never thought I had that opportunity. And his first game back was against us in Golden State. We were playing actually in the Forum in LA, and he didn't start that game. But when he came, we going up and down. He checked in the first quarter, and he's sitting on the bench, and someone's shooting a free throw. I can't remember who's shooting a free throw, but someone's shooting a free throw, and we all lined up on the free throw line. And all of a sudden, you just hear this rumbling through the crowd. The crowd just starts rumbling, and it's building, and it's building. He's coming to the score. This is him coming to the scorer's table, and it's building. He gets to the scorer's table. They check him in, announce his name, and they just go crazy. And I look up. I'm like, man, wow, this is amazing. And he comes stand right beside me. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, man, now I got to box him out. Oh, my God, my favorite player of all time. I'm about to go up against this owner. Oh, man. But it was a special moment. That's the best one. Because, like I said, I never thought I would have a chance to play against him. Actually played a pretty good game. We both did. Played a pretty good game. And this wasn't point guard Magic no more. This was power forward Magic. So I actually had to guard him.
So you were elbows to elbows of Magic.
Yeah, I had to actually guard him this game. So this wasn't point guard. They brought him back playing the four. So I actually had to guard him, man. It was like the best moment, the best time, the best game that, I ever been a part of, for me personally, because Magic, I looked up to him that much.
Wow. That's crazy. So, I mean, kind of getting into the competition. I mean, you talked about playing against, your most memorable moments, playing against MJ, playing against Magic, Scotty, Dennis Rodman. I mean, who do you think was the hardest person that you had to guard, during your time in the league?
Early on is Sean Kemp. When he was in Seattle. Before he went on to other teams. But when he was in Seattle, that was when I first got into the league. And I've never seen anybody that strong, that quick, and that athletic, all in one person. Before then, in college, you might, you come across guys, they might have two of the three, one of the two, or whatever it might be. But Sean Kemp was, he was quick, he was strong, athletic, and they went to him a lot, so it was a lot of pressure on you every possession, and he was probably the toughest dude I had to cover early on in my career. Later on, man, the league was so full of power forwards throughout my career. I had Garnett, I had Duncan, Chris Webber, Charles Barkley at one time, Karl Malone. The league was full of power forward talent, so we kind of ran the league at that time, the way the power forward position was played. So I had a lot of tough matchups throughout my career, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, because it definitely, that kind of, I definitely want to touch on that in a minute, talking about how it was definitely a big man's league at that point in time. But, I want to touch on more of your experience as well, in terms of, you've played in a few different areas. Did you have a favorite situation that you were in? I mean, what would you say was the best situation that you had played in the league?
The best situation probably was my first couple years with the Warriors. Coaches, put me in a good position to be successful offensively. And as I got traded through free agency, I became more role player and had to play, a certain role with different teams because they had their go-to guys as I was moving around. Kevin Garnett was in Minnesota, AI was in Philadelphia, LeBron in Cleveland, KD in Oklahoma. So every place I went had, their go-to guys. And so I had to really learn how to play my role and play my role well. And I think that's part of the reason why I was able to stick around 16 years in the league, because I was able to adjust my role and go from a guy whose number was being called almost every other possession down to a guy that was able to play his role and still be successful out there on the court.
Wow, you talk about, being able to play your role, having to adjust sort of during your career. Playing your role means that, you have to be able to have a certain type of chemistry and a connection with your teammates as well, within that system that you're in. Would you say, who would you say was your favorite teammate or best teammate that you've ever played with or, had on your team?
Right. My best teammate was probably Kevin Garnett. We played together, and we had some wars together. But it was more than just being what we did on the court. The friendship and relationship that we created off the court was even more special than what was going on the court. From the flights to the bus trips, to dinners, to events that we might have on the road. We were always always together. So that relationship was a special friendship that we created. We always told each other for life, and that's something we would tell each other in practice. That was something we tell each other off the court, that this relationship, this friendship is for life. And so that meant a lot to me, coming from somebody like that. And I'm quite sure it was the same respect in return. So he's somebody I always, respected on the court. But when I got a chance to play alongside of him and interact with him off the court, I realized, what type of person and individual he really is. And that meant a lot.
Wow. You talk about KG, one of the most physical players to ever play the game. But then, you talked about how it was a big man's league, during that time. You talked about KG, Barkley, Ewing, yourself. Like, this was a physical league. You talked about catching an elbow from Hakeem Olajuwon, straight soon as the ball was tossed up for the tip off. Talking about catching
2 seconds off the clock. 2 seconds ain't even off the clock.
soon as the game starts, how do you think that skill set, your skill set, would have translated to today's NBA, where as things are much different?
Right. And that's the thing about it. I talk to people, and people, tell me all the time that, I was just born a little bit too early, because the way I played would fit perfectly in today's game. I was a big man, but I was able to spread the floor and be able to put the ball on the floor and get to the basket as well. But it definitely would have been able to play in today's game. And I wish I would be around in the way they paying the way they paying these players in today's game. I wish I was born a few years later, but this is I'm proud of my career, what the time that I came up, and we kind of paved the way and opened the doors for a lot of these guys. So that's something to be proud of.
Definitely. We've seen how things have developed over time. Knowing so much about the forward big man position, right. It seems like today's NBA is still kind of trending in that direction in terms of big guys being able to do different things, like how you were able to when you were playing. So right. My question is, a lot of people have different takes on this, but I wanted to know, being who you are, being the 16-year vet, being the athlete of your stature with the knowledge that you have, who would you say the top 5 players in the NBA are right now?
Top 5 right now. Oof. I will have to say, obviously, LeBron James. Top 5, golly.
Yeah, I know it's hard. I know. That's why we need your expertise.
Kevin Durant. God, I can't leave Luka. Jokic. Jeez. Now I have to say Steph. I would have to say Steph as my 5.
Okay.
But hey, I got another 5. What 8 those?
So run through that one more time.
LeBron, Kevin Durant, Luka, Jokic, and Steph.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so I know you said you were a big Magic fan. You are a big Magic fan.
Right.
You played against him. You know what it's like to play against him. But then you also, you obviously know all about Steph, being able to see the things that he is able to do. Mm-hmm. There has been a trending debate as of late after that crazy Olympic performance that Steph had against Serbia, against France, hitting 4 threes in the last 2-3 minutes of that gold medal game, bringing USA over the hump, Team USA over the hump. My question to you is, I got to take on this, but you being who you are, I have to know what you think on this.
All right, let's go.
Who is the greatest point guard of all time between Magic and Steph Curry? I got to know. Because I've been arguing with my viewers for weeks now about who the greatest of all time is, but I got to know from you, who you have at number 1?
I got Magic. I got Magic at number 1. Like greatest shooter, Steph got that hands down. But greatest point guard of all time, I got that. I got Magic. I got Magic with that. Just for the fact that how he's able to make so many players around him better. Like a lot of those guys he made into all-stars, or he helped make into Hall of Famers. The way he was able to play and the way he was able to keep everybody involved. I think Steph, pure score. I mean, he can make passes, but as far as just moving without the ball and being able to free himself up for open looks and free himself up for the space that he needs, he definitely has an advantage with that over Magic. But as far as being a pure point guard and seeing the floor and being able to find people and still be able to do your thing offensively, I think Magic got the edge on that.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that insight, because I've been kind of arguing back and forth with some of my viewers on the podcast, because I agree with you 100%. I'm on the Magic. I'm on Team Magic in that regard. It's interesting how we've kind of throughout this interview we've kind of gotten into a comparison between the different eras
exactly.
And I know we talked about the difference in physicality between the current era and your era of basketball. So I really want to know, being someone from your era of basketball, someone who was ahead of their time in terms of that era of basketball, being able to do different things as a bigger guy. I don't know if you've heard Anthony Edwards' comments between this discussion, saying that players back then, the only player that was skilled back then was MJ. There wasn't a lot of skill back then in terms of today's era. So I want to know from you, what is your response to this statement from Anthony Edwards?
I mean, in that same statement, he says he didn't watch back then, though. So that's how you know that the statement is with how much how much is really behind that statement. Because if you're not watching, you really don't know what you're saying. Because back then, I mean, I just named off, the power forwards, and I didn't even get into Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, who else back there? Stephon Marbury's, AIs, and all the guard play that we had that was just as athletic and just as competitive, probably even more competitive than what they are now because the game was more physical. They got hit a lot more back then, so probably even more. So I mean, you really can't listen to somebody who don't know their history. If you don't know your history, you don't watch you haven't been watching the game. You just started watching the game in 2005, then you really don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in today's NBA is catching a blatant clean elbow at the start of the game. And
no.
no.
I mean, not even, back then you could go in for a layup and get knocked into the cameraman, and you get right back up. And nowadays you get knocked into the cameraman, they might miss 6 weeks. I mean, it was just a whole different, we built our bodies and we trained our bodies for that contact. And now I don't think they do that, and they won't be able to get away with it as much as we did back then.
Right. Yeah, I had to get your insight on that because I mean I feel like that is definitely a wild thing to say. I feel like there's a misconception between skill and evolution, just in how the game is trending now. Exactly. That doesn't mean, so I'm glad that you were able to offer that insight, but
if he would have said Pistol Pete Maravich and them, I would have been like, okay.
like before there was a 3-point line.
They had the peach baskets up, I was like, okay, yeah, you got some with you on that
one. So I guess kind of still covering the vast era, because I mean you kind of stretched your career, kind of covers different eras of basketball, having the longevity that you did in your career. I want to know, being someone who has played against the league's best, has been just a premier athlete yourself, what is your Mount Rushmore of guys that you have played with and against?
Played with
Mount Rushmore of basketball of guys you've played with and against.
Mount Rushmore of guys that I played with is incredible. I mean,
you want to split it up? We can split it up if that's easier. Split it up with guys you played with and against. So let's do with first. What is the Mount Rushmore of guys you played with? Yeah,
Iverson, Garnett, Durant, Kobe, Melo. How many heads on the Mount Rushmore?
It's one. It's one. No, you go good. So you said AI, KG, Durant, and you said Melo
and Kobe.
Okay, but I mean, you have a fifth as an alternate. So I mean, would you? I mean, if you had to pick 4 of those names, who would you put? Like, is that in order?
I'd probably take Melo off.
Take Melo off. So that's AI. No, you don't say
Brown. God, you see what I'm saying, bro?
That's why we had to split it up, because you played with a lot of guys, and it's gonna leave for a minute. So yeah, we had.
I'm like, hold on, I ain't say Brown. Yeah, no, hold on, God. See, that's 6 now. See. Dang, I play with some great guys, man. Golly. Oh, okay, so I got to put Bron definitely on it. Bron, Durant. I got to put my homeboy AI up there, and Kobe.
Okay. That's a good list.
Yeah.
That's a good list. So you said Bron, Durant,
KD,
Kobe,
and AI.
AI. Okay. That's a good list.
See, now leaving guard. Damn, leaving KG off there.
It's tough either way you go. It's a
They
hard
need
list.
to redo Mount Rushmore. They need to. They need
They need to add another head.
The guys I played against. Obviously Magic, Jordan, Olajuwon, Shaq.
That's nasty.
Golly.
Yeah, that's tough.
Ooh, you making me think about stuff I ain't even think about myself.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good gracious. And I still could have 2 or 3 more to that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy how, I mean, your Mount Rushmore covers, I mean, that's a few different eras of basketball. Exactly. I mean, you got early 90s, you got sort of late 90s, early 2000s, because I mean, you have different waves. You know, you have the MJ Magic wave, you got the Shaq wave, you know, that was a different point in time. Then you got Bronze era, you know, and then AI kind of stretches across those two. Yep, exactly. You know, KG, yeah. That's okay. Wow, yeah, that's
what I tell a lot of people. I mean, that's one thing about the years that I played. You know, I saw the development, I saw the changes. You know, that was being made. You know, year in and year out. So I seen the way the game was going to reach the point that it is now. You know, it started maybe my 3rd or 4th year in the league. They started changing the rules and adding things to add more offense, so the teams can score more points. And now we see the effect of it. And so throughout my career, I saw that coming.
Wow. You know, and you know, looking at your Mount Rushmores, there are 2 names on there that stand out to me, and I gotta ask you this question. You know, especially you're one of the only people that I think could
I already know what you're about to ask
accurately. You know, being like it's rare that you would have someone, especially of your caliber, that has played against or with these 2 guys, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. I mean, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist because me and myself, I'm still conflicted.
Right.
But I feel like talking to you will make my mind up. Right. So I gotta know, in your opinion, your expertise, being a 16-year vet, you know, having the caliber that you were as a player,
right?
Who is the greatest of all time in your opinion? The GOAT, in your opinion, Mr. Joe Smith? Who are you taking?
I get this question all the time, and you know, my answer, like you said, you're conflicted with it because you don't want to say anything, because when you say one person, then they automatically think that you're taking something away from the other players. So I really don't usually like to get into it, but I mean, my guy is LeBron. My guy is LeBron. I mean, Jordan, tremendous career, you know, GOAT 1A for sure. But you know, this longevity, the numbers that he's putting up throughout his career, the championships that he have on top of it. It might not be as many championships, but other numbers that he's accomplished have kind of, you know, outweighed, you know, the championship talking right now to me. So I mean, LeBron has had a hell of a career. 40 years old, still going out there doing it the way he's doing it. And one question a lot of people always ask is, what if Jordan would have played 20 years? Well, you think if Jordan didn't had a chance to play 20 years, he wouldn't have played 20 years. He would have kept going. But I mean, the way LeBron takes care of himself, takes care of his body, take care of what's necessary for him to do this year in and year out, gives him the edge. And the numbers, 40,000 points, man. That's something that might not ever get reached again. Like, nobody's going to ever reach 40,000 points. He's number 1 in points. He's, I want to say, top 5 or top 6 or 7 in assists. Rebounds, he's up there in numbers. So I mean, the numbers just are just in his favor. And like I said, the championships, he might not have as many championships, but the numbers that he put on the court kind of outweigh that to me.
I'm gonna have to submit to your expertise. I mean, you already, there's just, I mean, like you said, there's so many different reasons that can go into it, so many facts that can go into it, talking stats, ability, longevity is a big factor. So I'm gonna go with your expertise on that for sure.
Right.
That just proves how much being a 16-year vet, being the number 1 overall pick, first team NBA all rookie team, first team all ACC, all American, Naismith player of the year, AP college player of the year, UPI college player of the year. I mean, so many accolades. I mean, you could fill a room, with the accolades that you have. So, with the experience that you have, with the knowledge that you have, what is some advice that you would offer to young athletes, young athletes of today who are, sort of navigating life in the NBA, navigating contract dispute, navigating contract issues and terms and everything? Like, what is some advice that you would offer to these guys today who are preparing for or are currently in that chapter of their lives,
right,
that you were once in your life at the beginning of your professional career?
I mean, I would tell them first to be hands-on. That was an issue that I had. I kind of trusted my agent, trusted my financial people, put too much trust in people where I wasn't checking in with it as often as I should have been. So be more hands-on, make sure you educate yourself on whatever deals or whatever offers that they might be bringing, investments or whatever it might be that they're bringing to the table. Make sure you educate yourself and make sure that it's something that you want to be involved in, and just keep your eye on everything, man. Whether it's a contract or whether it's a speaking engagement or whatever it might be that people are lining up for you, just make sure you keep your eyes and hands on everything. Just don't put it in somebody else's hands and expect them to do everything right by you. You have to always make sure you're on point and you're taking care of it just as much as they are, because some people will take advantage of the situation and some people will go behind your back and do some things that you might not agree with. So make sure you're hands-on with everything, from finances to contracts to whatever it might be. Make sure you're hands-on with everything and be, like I say, educate yourself on everything that's coming to the table.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Smith. We just heard from Mr. Joe Smith, the man himself. That's all for today. That's all we have time for today for this edition of No Shame with Shane. Mr. Smith, I appreciate you. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all our social media platforms, and we will be back next time for more shameless takes. Mr. Smith, I appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you for having me, bro. It was fun.